So in this video, I'm going to go through what are called semantic tags. And semantic means that it has meaning. It provides meaning to the text. You might be looking at your HTML and going, well, I can see my new web page. As you can see on this HTML, it says my new web page. It's big. If we preview it, it's huge. It's obvious. It's a title. And to some extent, that's true. But the computer does not know what that is until you put these tags around it. The H1, that tells the computer this is a heading. The computer then knows. Humans view this preview and they say big, text, bold, black. It's definitely a headline. It's definitely important. Computers look at that and go, it's text. Don't care. And so that H1 tells the computer this text has meaning beyond just the words on the page. And semantic tags give text meaning. There's a lot of HTML tags that provide meaning around the text. Some of the ones I use a lot are the code tag. You can write this to say I'm going to define code. So I'm going to say HTML. That's code. And when we preview it, it actually changes the font. You might not be able to see that because I don't have any other font here, but if we put a paragraph in, this is HTML, see the font actually changes. This is actually a semantic tag. It looks different on the screen. And most of these do look somewhat different. Most browsers make some kind of distinction, but some of them don't. And you can actually use CSS to change them so that they don't look any different. They're just providing extra information. There's several tags that you can use to define types of things like code. There's also the keyboard tag, KBD. And this one, it might be used to indicate text that is typed on a keyboard. Another one that's similar to this is SAMP or sample. And these, again, they all end up looking similar. They're all using the monospaced font, as you can see here. You can change the way they look later. The last one we're going to look at is var. It's another one. Var stands for variable. It's telling the browser that this is a variable, so we're going to give it a variable $I rather than just the random letters. It's not going to look any different on the screen. We got our $I. It's italicized a little, which is nice, but there's not really any difference. What the main thing about this tag is that it's telling the browser, it's telling the reader, it's telling everybody that this is a variable, this is a sample, this is a keyboard input, and this is actual code. And I'm actually going to add that, so we'll say keyboard input. For KBD, SAMP is sample for the SAMP tag, and var is variable. And of course, code is code. If we preview it, it has them all in there. I could add a BR at the end to make it a little easier to read. But there's lots more semantic tags that you can use. There are some for editing. There's the deleted text tag. This text was deleted, which is indicating that the text has been deleted from the document. There's inserted text. So you can say this text was inserted. And these are good if you have to edit things and you want to make a note of that on the actual edits. Some browsers make a distinction of them. This browser actually puts a line through on deleted text. It underlines inserted text, so it's easier to see. There's a definition tag, so you can define things. You might say definition, and then you might give it a title. That's an attribute that stands for hypertext markup language. As you can see, this browser makes definitions italics. Some of them will make an actual pop-up. This definition is saying, when you hover over it, hypertext markup language, so people can learn what you're saying, and it's saying it's a definition. We also have the ones that a lot of people are familiar with, strong, and emphasis, or M. And when you view them, the strong text is bold and the emphasis text is emphasized or italicized. A lot of people complain that why aren't they just the B tag for bold, the I tag for italics? And I'll get to those in a second, but basically the idea behind the strong and the M tags were that the B and the I tags, bold and italic, were not really considered semantic. B just says, make it bold. I says, make it italics. Sometimes you want it to say, this needs stronger emphasis. Web pages aren't always viewed. Some people actually listen to web pages. How do you say something bold? If somebody were to say to me, make this text bold, does that mean make it deep? Or does that mean make it loud? I don't know. But strong has a definite meaning. There's, I want to talk strongly, so when a text is marked as strong, you mark it as strong. And when it's marked as emphasized, it might be a little bit more strongly emphasized, but not as strong as strong. And so when an auditory browser is reading your HTML out loud to the customer, they're reading and they know how to say this text is bold. They're not going to say this text is bold. They're going to say this text is bold. But then we come to where HTML5, where a lot of people are really happy about HTML5 because strong is 5-6 characters long, whereas B is only 1 character long, is bold. And it's way easier to remember B than strong if you're not familiar. I was writing Word documents and making my text bold when I was in high school. Bold is easy to remember, but strong, I'm not going to remember that. HTML5 decided to make these tags bold, italics, HR, the hard rule, S for strikeout, small for small text, and U for underlined text. They have decided that they are semantic, but they're not semantic in the way you might think. Bold text is semantic in the way that it means this text is bold and is text that would normally be bold. This text is italic for the I tag. So it's not emphasized, it's just text that would normally be in italics. For the HR tag, HR is a hard rule. If we preview it, it makes a line across the page, as you can see. They decided that that one is semantic because it defines a section break. If I then write something else here, and I'm going to write S for strikeout. Text is struck out. When you preview it, the contents above the line is in one section of the web page, and the contents below the line are in another. So that's the semantic value of the HR tag. The S tag is again similar to the I and the B. It defines text that would normally be struck out. And the U text is this text is underlined. Now, personally, I don't recommend using bold, the B, the I, the S, and the U tags for sure, because you can create those in CSS, and even the HR you can create in CSS. So if all you're doing is making something bold because you want it to be bold, it's better to do it in CSS because then you have more control over the design in the design area. And we'll get to that later, but for now, personally, I recommend avoiding these tags, but you can use them. They are valid. There's nothing wrong with using them, and they have semantic meaning. HTML5 created 4 new tags that are semantic. They are the mark tag, the meter tag, the progress tag, and the time tag. I'm going to close all those. The mark tag, if you were to go to a web browser and search for results, and you search for HTML, even though I've hidden the search box in this screen, you can tell that I've searched for HTML because it's highlighted or it's marked. HTML5 gives you the mark tag to define text that should be highlighted for some reason. Some people use it when people come to their website from a search engine. They might mark that text and say, hey, welcome to my site, and it's marked. Meter is another tag you can use. It's new. It defines like a metronome or a beat to something. So if you have something that has a beat to it, you can use the meter. Progress is used for progress bars. When something is taking time and you want to show that spinning wheel or a bar across the bottom of the screen that slowly fills up, that's all progress. And of course, time is, as you might guess, time. It actually means time and date. So not just it's 1 p.m., but rather it's August 22nd, 1993. It's either of those things. Those are some of the semantic tags in HTML5.